Strap in, everybody. It's time for another Breaking Down Security podcast. This is Brian, and with me, as always, is Miss Berlin and Mr. Betcher.
Hey.
Hello, everybody.
Hey. So, wow, we've got a lot to talk about this week. There's some, we got some B-Sides reports because everybody went to a B-Sides except me, apparently. Great.
There's a lot of them going on.
I know. So BsidesIndy and B-Sides Austin were on the same weekend?
Yeah, and oh gosh, there was something else. Greenville and San Jose.
Holy crap. I know B-Sides Vancouver starts, I think, tomorrow, the 12th of March, and then CanSec West, I think, is along the end of the week. So, yeah, there's just one right after another.
B-Sides Vancouver's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Salt Lake City's on Friday. Yeah, they're all over the place now.
They have like Monday and Tuesday, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I want to go.
Yeah.
Hey, what about this? What if you told your job, yeah, I'm going to take a year off, and then it's like you just travel around to all the B-Sides all over the world?
Oh my gosh.
It's like,
that would be great.
Every week is a new B-Sides, or
I need a job though to pay for all that.
Well, you just continually submit, talks, or
How the B-Sides pay.
You should just become independently wealthy and make that happen.
If there's any guys out there that are interested.
What? This is not.
That's not the podcast for that.
This podcast is not your Tinder, okay?
Not for sugar daddies, right?
Yeah. Good God. All right. So we'll start with Mr. Betcher because I always start with Ms. Berlin. But Mr. Betcher, you went to B-Sides Austin and you were presenting at B-Sides Austin with the other guy.
I did
What's his name?
With Michael, and our topic was what the BDIR podcast was on, episode 001, which was cred stealing fishes, what you need to do to mitigate them, prepare for them, deal with them, things like that. Okay.
So for those people who listen to Breaking Down Security and have yet to listen to the Breaking Down Incident Response podcast, what could you give a short synopsis of what you should do for cred stealing fish emails? Because those are called fishes, right?
Yes. So the next iteration of malware is actually these cred stealers. I think this is just my opinion, because at first we got the JS files, the JSEs, the scripting files in emails as attachment. People would double click those, get their system infected or ransomed, and we took care of those. Then started coming the Word docs, the Excel documents with the macros.
Right.
There's a little bit more involvement on the user side. They have to click enable macros, and they're not as effective. We took care of those. And you can see Michael's previous talks on how to deal with those and how we mitigated those and essentially brought those down to pretty much zero. And then they upped their game with the DDE. Now, this requires the users to click enable such and such, and do you really want to download this? Yes, I do, etc. I think Microsoft provided an update and took care of that.
Okay.
And so now the next iteration is these cred stealing fishes, and we don't know what they do once they get a cred, thankfully. I mean, sorry, everybody, we don't really know what they're after, but I'm assuming it's so they can get a bunch of boxes in your network and install ransomware and just ransom half your company.
Right.
That's what I'm assuming. It's going to be more work for them, obviously, because they have to be there quickly harvesting these credentials and attempting to use them. Okay. So before it was all automated. They didn't have to do anything. Now they have to do something. And in the past, we would get these trickle in the past couple of years, and it would take maybe a day or two, sometimes 12 hours for them to make their first attempt to try and use the credentials that they've harvested. Now it's like 1 or 2 hours, and they're pretty quick. So that means you have to be quick.
Right.
We have to be quick when we get these to act. And so what we did was we created a process on what to do when you do get one of these that look like it's a fish, how to determine if it in fact is a fish, what's the quickest way, and how to deal with it after that, and how to prepare for it as well.
Right.
And in the show notes with BDIR episode 1, we have pretty much a process. You can virtually copy and paste it into a wiki or whatever you have, and have some of either your team or junior level people on the security team follow this process to determine if it's a cred stealing fish and what to do about it.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is make a few edits on, tailor make it to your company, etc.
Okay. So you said cred stealing emails. Is those ones that users are volunteering, or are these emails just getting smart enough where they're pulling, credentials out of your browser cache or your browser, history? Or is it like, click this link to log in to your, Bank of America site, and it's just a nasty website?
The ones we get are things like you have an important document.
Right.
You need to pay this bill, or if you don't owe this money, you need to log in and tell us.
Okay.
We've even got PDFs that have links in them so that you can go get your PDF, right? Things like that. And the way to determine the kind of the crappy ones is they'll have, hey, you want to use your AOL account, your OWA account, your Google account. They have them all listed there. So whatever account you want to give them, they'll take it.
Okay.
Right. So they're all listed on the website, and that's a surefire way to determine whether this is a cred stealer. If there's like a federation of different email or account logins, they're doing that in order to paint a broad brush. They probably don't know what you're using. Are you using AOL, or are you using Outlook Web?
Right.
They have that all there for you. Now, the really scary ones are the ones that have only what your company would use on the web.
Okay. So that's, you said BDIR episode 1, but you guys started out with episode 000. So this is actually the second episode of the show, because you're, computer complete. So you start at 0. People can go and watch that there. We'll put a link in the show notes. You can check that out. It's on iTunes. It's on, player.fm, and it'll be on Spotify soon. But that's an hour and a half of really good information. So if you're definitely getting involved with that make sure that'll help you protect yourselves and your company. And how often do you have a show that'll give you policy and procedures in the show notes? So there you go.
That's we're making it easy. All you have to do is edit. For those of you who don't like to come up with your own crap, take what's there and just edit it a little.
Yeah, take their crap and make it your crap. That's right. Own that crap. So so the talk went well then, yeah?
Yeah, it went well.
Awesome.
We had, I don't know, somewhere between 110 and 220 in the auditorium, and I'm saying that with a 90% CI. Cool. And those of you who are listening to or going to the book club know exactly what I'm talking about there. Yeah. With the whole, you guys know what that means? 90% CI?
No, I don't know what a CI means. No.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna. Okay. This is a great book. How to Measure Anything in Cybersecurity Risk. Yeah. I'm going to join. My favorite chapter is chapter 5. I've read the book twice, and it's really good for those of you who are interested in risk and want to dispel the myths about quantitative measurements, and kind of get some idea of how qualitative measurements, like the whole risk matrix, high, medium, low, and that sort of thing, is a bunch of crap. Speaking of crap, but back to Bsides. Yeah, there were a lot of great talks at Bsides Austin. There was one talk in particular on HFA, high functioning autism. So how to dispel the myths about high functioning autism people.
Very cool.
We had some breach walkthroughs, like people who got hacked actually went through, like, okay, here's what happened, and here's the lessons we learned, and here's what the criminals did. and here's how we dealt with those. Had people drop in O days. There was one Android. If you have I guess it's the near field communication where you walk up to something and scan it, or it, has that communication. If you have that set, there's a vulnerability there where, and he gave the example, if you walk next to someone with an Android, and this is also the Microsoft phone as well. Mm-hmm. Apple had this as well, but they fixed it. Android is saying, no, it's not really a bug, it's a feature. But like, you can add contacts to people. You can have them install an app, things like that, just by getting close to their phone and having the proper RFID or whatever kind of chip it is.
Yeah, that contactless payment, or the NFC, the near field communication stuff is it's fairly hairy. I always turn mine off on my phone when I'm not using it. So I only use it for like purchases, but I flip it on, tap, turn it off, because it's just not good to have on constantly. So yeah. So, well, it sounds like that was awesome. Besides Austin, is it going to be the same time next year?
Roughly around the same time.
Okay.
It'll be the 10th one next year.
Wow. Very nice. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Join us next year for our 10th anniversary. And then there's a link. So Bsides Austin. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So if looking for a good B-sides, the talks were they recorded?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. So the O-Day one stays, in the dark. So we'll just have to wait for disclosure of that. So yeah. Okay. Miss Amanda, you were at B-Sides Indianapolis this year.
I was.
At the same time, actually.
That is way closer than Austin for me.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Both of them are far away from me, so I can't work either one of those. So
I did not go to any of the talks at BsidesIndy because I participated in CTF the whole time.
Oh, that's right. How did that go?
And won. What? It was great. Yeah.
What'd you get?
I got a Sans Netwars certificate.
Nice.
I participate in that, but I gave that away to a student.
Oh, well, that's nice of you.
And I figured they needed it more. We did. Ms. Bat and I did this great thing where we put all the students up on stage because we were trying to figure out who to give it away to.
Yeah.
And we had them do like Simon Says and try and answer some questions. And then we just settled on who had the lowest GPA.
Oh, wow.
So I gave ours away as the top prize, and second place gave theirs away to the guy with the girl with the highest GPA.
Nice.
So out of all the students, it was a girl that had the highest GPA, and then the guy with the lowest. And I made sure to tell him to get his grades up.
So how was the CTF? Was it difficult?
It made my brain hurt. CTFs always make my brain hurt. Yeah, it was very difficult.
So BsidesIndy was a one-day event then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they had training on Friday, and then the con was on Saturday.
Okay. All right. So it was kind of a race to the finish then?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it's like Jeopardy style. Aaron Lint put it together. He did a really good job.
I know Aaron, yeah.
Yeah. And about half an hour to the end, we got ahead. So he also had a challenge in there that the flag was, do not submit this flag because you'll get a negative point.
Oh, wow.
Like just one negative point. And I had to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't not submit it.
Well, it's like, don't touch that button. Well, now I got to touch the
button. Now I have to do it. Right. So
I
was the only one that submitted that flag. So I had like 649 points or something like that.
Nice.
Supposed to.
Was there any of them that you didn't solve or couldn't get done?
Yeah, at least a little bit more than half, actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to reverse engineer.
Oh yeah, me neither. Yeah.
And I don't know how to code.
Oh right.
If I would have had like more time and a quieter environment, less distractions, maybe I could have done it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to put myself through that in that short amount of time. So
I find the best way to do it is just run strings on the binary or whatever it is they give you, and then that usually has the flag in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can run strings on it, you're doing fairly
his
decent.
were very complex.
Oh, it was very complex. Okay. Well,
yes.
Did Aaron write it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a little bit better than just running strings.
He's mean.
Yeah.
He likes seeing people have to struggle. So.
Okay.
Like one of them was a. This is in the closing video, so I can explain it because we got this one flag. It was a file called shells, and you downloaded it, and it was just a bunch of random characters. So you had to run the file command on it to see what kind it was, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a zip file, which was password protected, but he had given a hint that was like not. Operating systems aren't the only things with shell that you can get a shell on or something like that. So the password was turtle.
Right.
So that opened up a zip file.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then we had to reverse it. It was like we had to use XXD.
Right. Oh, yeah. I love that.
Reverse it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then take that code and put it in. Oh, it was called. Oh, it was a very, very old programming language, which is what Lisp is based on loosely.
Scheme.
Something to do with a turtle.
Something to do with.
Can't believe I forgot already.
Haskell.
I'll remember it in a little bit. But anyways, you had to put it in there, and then it ended up with a QR code, which, when scanned, showed you the flag.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, man, that was rough. That took quite a bit. And that was just one flag. I mean, there was two that were just lockpicks, so that was fairly easy.
Oh, that's good.
And then a couple other ones that weren't easy at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you played your strengths, you didn't, know. Yeah, and that apparently you did better than than one of the other teams, so you win. Yeah. So that's the important thing.
And I had help from Snow and Tim DeBlock.
Oh, okay,
they were both on the team too, and yeah, it was a whole lot of fun.
Both excellent InfoSec hobbits. So
they're pretty great.
Yes. So we had a person who's going to come on and talk to us about some things. I don't want to say I started anything important on Twitter because I never do. I don't start drama or anything, but I had an idea about interns and mentorships in companies and such. And we had somebody who was going to come on, but, family issues came up and he wasn't going to be able to join us this week. So he's going to join us next week, and we're going to talk about the hashtag InfoSec interns that I helped create on Friday, and how his company's doing that stuff. In addition to some S3 hardening, I hope that's something that comes up. So right now, one of the things that came out of last week's show, because we were talking about the that super compliance framework that Ms. Amanda found, very excellent, useful resource. One of our Slackers by the name of Ben Chung came out and found another one from auditscripts.com, which also maps the critical security controls to other compliance frameworks. So we have a link in the show notes to that. He heard about it from Mr. Strand over there at one of the other podcasts. You probably know that one because it's the one you listened to before this one. You know what? I'm a realist. I know that our show may not be the first one that everybody listens to, so that's cool. So, I looked at it as very, very useful if you want to ever follow the critical security controls. So that's, something that Ben posted in our Slack channel, and I appreciate him for doing that. So, so we have some news that we can go through, but we're gonna go beyond just what we got here with the news. So Bleeping Computer came out with an article, about half of those who pay their ransomware ransoms actually get their data back, which I actually found that kind of odd, because I always assumed if you paid the ransom, you got your you got your data back, because
I was under that impression.
I mean, because we've talked about this on the show before. If you don't actually get your data back, that messes with the trust model of what they're trying to cultivate.
Although, if nobody says that they didn't get their data back because they're ashamed that not only did they get ransomware, but they also didn't get their data back.
Oh, do you think it's like that?
Then maybe.
Well, I mean,
like, if nobody's going to talk about it, then they're not going to get their reputation ruined. Maybe they caught on.
Yeah. So, I mean, this appears to be a fairly massive survey. 1,200 IT security practitioners and decision makers in 17 countries. And they say
these are practitioners. These aren't spokespeople for whatever company got hacked, right?
Right. So,
and I'm sure it's anonymous, right? What company they work for.
Yeah.
Things like that. So yeah, why wouldn't they say the truth?
Well, I've never talked to anybody that's paid the ransom.
Really?
So, no.
Yeah.
Is it because they had good backups?
It was either because they had it backed up or whatever was ransomware they didn't care about.
See, okay. That's an important delineation. If the only box that was infected was, the person in the lobby's, computer, there may not be operationally significant data on there. It's okay to wipe that.
Reformat and they don't care. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So according to the pie chart here, it says 53.3% no, we didn't pay the ransom, but we did recover our data. So it sounds like greater than half actually was able to recover their data without paying the ransom. Let's see, 8% said no, we didn't pay the ransom and we lost our data. So that's the worst possible option. 19.1, yes, we paid the ransom and recovered our data. So, oh, wow, yeah, okay, the best, well, almost the best. And then another 19.
Best would be we've never had ransomware.
That is true, but that's not an option on here.
It's not on the pie chart.
No. Wait. It says 0.001. We used LogMD and we didn't get ransomware. Okay, well there you go. No, so
they need a bigger slice of that pie.
They need a bit. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So 19.6%. Yes, we paid the ransom but lost our data. Now, okay. So I have a thought on that, because don't a lot of ransomware say you have to pay by a certain amount of time or you lose that information? Could this be a point?
Some of the newer ones do.
Yeah, they give you a chance to do it. So, maybe they lost their data because they paid it in time, but before they could get a chance to activate the fix, it may have expired. So there's other reasons why that could be the case. I'm not seeing why it all adds up to 55% though, because it doesn't make any sense. They said half of those who paid only half of those who paid were able to recover their data. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, so 20% paid the ransom.
Yeah,
and lost their data.
19, 19, and 8. So
19.6.
Yeah.
So, okay. That just ruins it for the other ransomware people, right?
Right.
The ones that actually write a good app and they're ransomware and are able to get the payment and give the key to their victims, right?
Right. It
just ruins it for all of those people.
The trustworthy ransomware providers.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I mean, the reputation is key here, right?
Right.
In the underground.
Well, that's the odd thing, though.
It's just people who build these things and they just say, well, I really don't care. I don't care if you can't recover your data. Right. I'm just going to take your money and live off the reputation of the ones before me who actually give you back your data.
Yep. So my thing is, though, how long did this says 2017, but I don't know if this is the new thing where you're not getting your data back even if you pay the ransom, or if this has been going along this way the whole time, which is why the FBI, at least American law enforcement, say, don't pay the ransom, because they know, and what press and other folks haven't been saying is that you're actually not going to get your stuff back. But law enforcement is like, yeah, don't negotiate with bad guys. Don't pay the ransom because you're not going to get your money back, because we know, because the press ain't telling you that. Which would also make me wonder why the press haven't been reporting that. Maybe it's the rube thing. You're rube because you got hit by ransomware. You're like 3 times, screwing up. You got hit by ransomware. You're not doing backups, and on top of that, you didn't get your data back. So, it's a whole mess. I mean, obviously, like Ms. Berlin said, the best option isn't on this one, and it's just to not get ransomware in the first place. But, yeah.
8% lost their data and didn't pay the ransom. I do know of a company that decided, it was a small business, decided to not pay the ransom. They basically asked all their employees, hey, do we want to do this? And they were like, hell no, we don't. And they put in extra hours to replenish all the data that they could.
Right.
I mean, it hurt their business a lot, and their employees had to work tons of hours for several weeks to try and recover that lost data, but they didn't pay the ransom.
Well, so let's look at it from a time/money/effort. So they had to spend a ton of extra time, so a lot of overtime or what have you. So that cost the company money. They lost the data that they had. So I'm wondering, at what point would there have been a value proposition there that, yeah, we probably are going to spend 1,000 hours replacing all this stuff at $50 an hour extra, assuming that, they're getting paid that. So if it's even $50,000 to replace the data that they lost, and the ransom was only a couple thousand, maybe, it's a value proposition, isn't it?
Well, according to this, you'd have to double that, because only half the time you'd actually get your data back if you do pay.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, there's a 50-50 shot there. So do the math as well. If it's going to cost you $1 million to try and recover that without paying the ransom, and the ransom is $500,000, well, you even out there.
Yeah.
Right? You have to double that ransom.
Yeah. So they said, respondents said they plan to invest money in 2018 in advanced malware analysis and sandboxing, network security, containerization, and micro virtualization, endpoint and mobile security, and API gateway, application and data centric security. What am I missing in that list of things that they are going to be spending money on in 2018? I'll give you all a hint. Backup technology.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys make some effing backups.
Shh. Don't say
it. Could work. It could work. Great idea, man.
Why bother with malware analysis and sandboxing technology if your backups didn't work or they're non-existent? Doesn't make any sense.
What's interesting in this article to me is it says 77% of all organizations suffered a form of cyber attack.
Right.
Okay, but how many of those actually had ransomware where they had to decide, are we going to pay this ransom because we don't have backups?
Yeah. Out of the 77%?
Well, it says some form of cyber attack.
I'd need to know,
what type of industry,
how they took the survey, where they got the data for the survey.
Yeah, I've become a little more critical about surveys after starting this book, Thinking Fast and Slow, like Betcher had suggested, and we're gonna be talking about that in the weeks to come, because that was a really great book, and I'm starting to use that system too to go things that make you go, I
was a huge statistics nerd in high school.
Oh, yeah?
And absolutely loved my statistics classes. And it is just incredibly hard to get an accurate survey result.
Yeah. I don't put a lot of...
They're all they can all be very biased if you don't try really hard to make them not.
Yeah. And here, the other thing, survey respondents said they perceive mobile devices and app containers as their organization's weakest link in terms of security. Are they storing business data on their mobile devices? Again, I'm like, buy
email at least. I mean,
Amazon Glacier or something, I mean, and okay, so what about the people who actually are doing backups and their backups get infected with ransomware? At that point, they are screwed. And I mean, and that's just a failing on their analysis or detection mechanisms, right?
And their backup setup.
Well, okay. No, let's talk about that then. So if you're...
This is why cred stealers are really, really bad. Okay, in Bsides Austin, this one talk, they stole a cred, right? One cred.
Right.
That cred got them access to other creds.
Sure.
And that got them access to a bunch of different company computers.
Okay.
Right. That list of other creds. So it's a cascading effect. Right. So if they get access to a cred that has access to the backup server or something like that, maybe remote desktop in or what have you, SSH. Yeah, that's really bad.
Right.
It takes some manual work. It's not going to do the SMB crawl. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you can potentially bank a lot of money for the bad guys if they get all these creds.
Right. So, Miss Berlin, you were going on a point about their backup solution or backup policies were bad. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Well, you said like if their backups get ransomware, right?
Right.
Which means they have either backed up a system that's already been ransomwared over top of something that was a good backup,
mm-hmm.
without having a rollback point prior to that,
right?
Or they have continuously connected backups, which the ransomware could have gotten to,
right,
to encrypt.
Well, a lot of companies have those, right?
Yeah, but you should have both. You should have, you're going to have an offsite backup that isn't constantly connected.
Okay.
Have it be like a pull instead of a push or something,
Pretty much all ransomware, the first thing it does is delete the online backups.
Right. Oh, so like they'd go into your box or they'd go into your Google Drive and RM-RF, whatever it is, they've got mapped into their directory there?
Yeah, the volume shadow copy.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just delete that.
Yeah, I read.
You should never, only rely on volume shadow copy either, just because that's a horrible idea.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So without using the online backups, assuming that, your box and your Google Drives or your Dropboxes of the worlds are gone and you're using offsite backups, is there a specific or a proper way of doing your backups so that you could reduce the chance of your ransomware, backups or your backups getting ransomware? Because I'm from the old school.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of different kinds of solution. Like it depends on what kind of data you're backing up. If it's data that's changing all the time and what your policies are about how fast you need to recover it, mm-hmm. and what type of, like, is it a software backup? Is it a strict like byte copy of the drive?
Right.
I mean,
because it sounds like the way you're explaining backups is the same way that Mr. Betcher talks about log files. You shouldn't just back everything up. Mm-hmm. You should be tuning your backups so that you're only backing up the necessary data.
Right.
And I'm old school, so I had, the DAT tapes that are, 80/160 gig, and they took forever to run, and you rotated your tapes out and you did a monthly full backup, and you did.
That was one of my first first things I did at the ISP that I worked at, was switch around tapes at an ISP.
Yeah, and you have to rotate them because they'll wear out if you use the incremental or differentials too often,
Yeah.
But so that's the way I had to do it back in the day when I was in the Navy.
Well, say you have VMware and Veeam is just doing your backups.
Right.
Well, hopefully your VMware servers don't get ransomware.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if the guests do, they shouldn't. I mean, it should be like one step removed, right? So they can't have direct access to those.
Right.
I don't know. It could be like server that it's on or whatever. But.
So that's a good question. So both of you y'all do the incident response thing. I do the incident response thing, but I'm mostly a cloud-based organization. So all our stuff is fairly seamless. If you are in a ransomware situation, should one of the first things you do would be to stop whatever backups you're doing, just to make sure that you don't override, with bad data.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna want as up to date backups as possible. You don't want to overwrite your last one.
Right.
But
Mr. Betcher, what say you, sir?
Yeah, I mean, you should look at that process now if you don't know what it is.
Right.
Right. So that
and not just look at it like verify, just because I've seen
verify.
people say, "Oh yeah, we totally have backups."
Well,
nope.
That's the thing. How many people actually verify their backups or even go the extra step of restoring a backup to make sure that it actually works? Because,
that should happen monthly. at least spot check. I know, people will have like thousands of servers, but at least the important ones you should test.
Right. So,
this is going to cost our company, $50 million if we lose this. Maybe you should test that out monthly.
Right. So
sometimes you test them out because you have to.
Well, yeah,
that's okay.
That too.
How many times have you ever had to restore from backup, though? I mean,
mostly it's user. I mean, every time that I've had to restore something, other than like a couple other like edge use cases, it's always just been the users accidentally deleted something.
Right.
It's not been actual like major loss of data.
Yeah. So, I mean, does it behoove, like you guys said, you should, take a look at your data. Better that if you got hit by ransomware, you're only losing like a day's worth or a couple days worth of data versus,
or hours,
months.
Depending on,
Okay. But all right. So hours. So once you've realized you've been popped with some ransomware and you say hours, that shortens the amount of time you've got to kill any kind of backups opportunity that you have.
Right.
And if it takes you 5 hours to find, that you've been hit with ransomware or that, that is a problem, at what point and I'm using Sands's Pickerel, PICERL. So preparation, identification, containment, eradication, recovery, lessons learned. When you identify that there's an incident response and it has to deal with ransomware or you've got a Trojan, the last thing you want to do is back up Trojans as well, I would imagine. Should in the identification phase or the containment phase, should there be some policy in there that says, okay, we need to halt all backups. We don't want this being backed up and then propagating later when we go to restore our backups. How important is that? I say
it should be in the IR playbook. I mean, anytime you get ransomware, you should look at that.
So standard operating procedure. Oh, okay, we've identified an infection on the network. Kill the connection or just kill the cron job or the scheduled task.
Depends on what's on the box. I could just got ransomware.
Okay. So
if you have something on there that you have to keep that connected to the network, so you can, I mean, if you want to pay the ransom,
right,
you have to leave it connected.
Right.
If you need that data back, and maybe you don't have backups, I don't know.
It seems to me severing the connection to the backup would make more sense, and leaving the cron running. But yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't know. If any IR folks out there, have this in their playbook, or maybe there's people having a monkey touch monolith moment going, oh crap, we probably need to do that. Please let us know.
Yeah, I'd be interested too if anybody's ever had ransomware propagate to their backups and continue on.
Oh God, that would suck. We've been reinfected by something we spent thousands and thousands of dollars eradicating, you know?
Yeah. And not just like because they backed up the ransomware and then like re-put it back on.
Yeah.
But like if it actually was able to spread.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully after you had eradicated it the first time, you would have things in place that would tell you instead of, you know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh God, you're just killing me here.
I can see none of that happening.
All right. How about you, Mr. Betcher? What do you say about the backups? Should you just kill the connection to the servers, or, you know, make everybody stop, you know, block Box or Google Drive at your firewall to stop people from uploading new stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Typically, it's not the entire company that's getting ransomware. It's
Box or two.
A few people,
right?
So yeah, and
at least those couple boxes, right?
Yeah, and so shut it off if you can. But do you have versioning on your backups? That would be the smart way to do. Like, hey, this is a new version of this file. But typically, if it's ransom, the name changes anyway.
Right.
So you have a bunch of encrypted files along with your good files in that backup directory.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I guess
so it doesn't make a difference.
I guess DAT tapes are still good because, you know, you're not, as long as you're making those.
And the DAT tape, or
I don't know. Do the youngsters out there, if you can Google up what a DAT tape is? It actually DAT does. Okay, so it's like NIC card. I just said NIC card, didn't I? So
yeah, that's all right.
The T at the end of DAT is actual tape. Yeah, digital analog tape. Digital analog tape, something like that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Huge tape bays and
no joke.
Rotating arms.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, when I was in the Navy, I saw one online. I think it was on Amazon, but it used DVD minus RWs.
What?
I think. Yeah. Yeah, and I was like,
I bet you that was expensive in the day.
It was a carousel about, I don't know, 4.5 foot tall, and it held 150 of these DVD RAMs. It had DVD RAMs in it, which was the DVDs inside the little plastic trays, and it was that much weirder. But yeah, you could write multiple times on them, but yeah, you pop about 100 of those in there, and you hear this little machine go. It was all fancy and futuristic and stuff. Of course, it was finicky as all hell, and it used SCSI for the tray. But when it worked great. And so I actually sold that to them when I was a senior third class in the Navy, and I was like, look, this thing's so much better than tapes. They don't wear out like normal tapes and stuff. And it's so much cheaper to replace them instead of a DAT. And I sold it to them. So it was working when I left the Navy in 2004. So yeah. I don't know. It worked. So, wow. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess when you're getting hit with Trojans or ransomware or something, turn off your backup procedures, because it could be bad for everybody involved. So, oh wow. Okay, so we went a little longer than we thought on something that I actually didn't expect to get a lot out of that just one article. We have I guess Debian and Kali Linux are now in the Windows Store, and there was some issues with it where Windows Defender was actually seeing the files inside as problems. So they were actually flagging it as badware. In some cases. The link I have is not the right one. It just says that they're now in the Microsoft Store, but I saw something. Was that on our Slack where it said it was actually flagging them as bad?
I only heard you say that.
Oh, you're just holding me to something here. Kali Windows. I'm looking in our News of the Day channel here. Let's see.
God, I hate stink bugs.
What are you talking about?
Sorry. I just caught one.
Oh, in your house?
Yes, they're everywhere.
Kali store bad. Really? Huh. Oh yeah. So of course another bleeping computer. It says Kali now in the Windows Store, but Defender flags its packages as threats, which is fairly interesting. So yeah, the developers of the Windows WSL team forgot to tell Windows Defender about Kali's Linux availability because some of the packages will be detected as hack tools, viruses, or exploits when you try to install them. Oops. Which makes sense, I guess. Yeah. So some of the Metasploits being flagged as naughty bits. So, which makes sense because they are actually. So, yeah. Wow.
Who knew, right?
No, I actually
Defender catches stuff in like Notepad, and like if you try and write in Notepad++, or yeah.
You mean when you
like,
try to?
Oh, I've deleted that file because
it
looks malicious. Well,
wowzers!
Yeah, I was trying to work. Thank you.
I'm trying to write shellcode. Leave me alone. Right. Yeah, great. So you have to disable Windows Defender when you're writing shellcode because it might flag your stuff as naughty. So, yeah. All right. So yeah, something to think about when you're trying to install Kali. I'm sure they fixed it by now, but if they haven't, you might have to disable Defender. It says you'll need to disable the real-time protection of Windows Defender, which is not always a smart thing. So, but if you're running Kali Linux, you're probably not running AV.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Not clicking on phishing links.
Yeah, that's probably good. But the one thing I do like about Windows 10 having that is it's one less box you'd have to carry around, or maybe a lighter VM, so you don't have to have a VM of Kali or Pentester Framework or whatever to make it work. So it's pretty awesome. So I think we probably need to go. I have had a lot of positive feedback about the lack of not hour-long shows. So I had some things on building vulnerable VMs. I'm working on that for our DerbyCon CTF this year. If we can get some tickets for that would be great. So I want to go ahead and put out an announcement. We did it last week, but I want to reiterate it. Matt Miller, who goes as Millhouse30 on Twitter, and he's also in our Slack channel, is running a class for us on assembly and reverse engineering. We have a syllabus out for that. I'm going to bring up that right now. There's going to be 2 classes, and looks like they're going to be about 4 sessions apiece. So there's going to be 8 sessions total on assembly training, talking about stacks and registers and operations, using GDB, writing and calling functions, also some ARM and x86 based assembly discussion as well, because they're all kind of building on one another. And in the second class, we're going to be talking about disassembly, file formats. I'm just reading off of the syllabus, which is in the show notes. You can go look at all of it. But talking about various calls that you can make in API calls, thunk tables. We're going to be writing some C++ code, talking about DLL functions. So if you're interested in any of those things that I just told you about, you can go into our show notes and sign up for the class. So each class is going to be $150. But if you want both classes, you only have to pay $250. So you're saving $50 on a package deal. So if you take the first class and you realize, well, I want to take both classes, you're going to have to pay $300. But if you know right now that you want to do the assembly and the reverse engineering courses together, you can sign up and pay $250 and you're good to go. It will start April 2nd, 2018 at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. I apologize if you live in Europe. We've actually had a couple people ask about the availability of videos. If you just want the videos and not be able to attend the class because of whatever reasons, please email bds.podcast@gmail.com and we can work something out. So, it looks like it's going to be a really great discussion. Actually, the reverse engineering course, you're going to need a Raspberry Pi, I believe. If he doesn't, well, he has an emulator here, but if you want to run something on a Raspberry Pi, that's always available as well. And we have a VM that you're going to download and be able to do your debugging and, read elf and NASM and make, and, it has Binary Ninja on it, a demo version of that. So we're going to make that available as well. So, Again, if you're interested, please, sign up for that using the links in our show notes, their PayPal account. And if you're only going to sign up for one class, please put in the notes which class you want to do. So that's great. So Ms. Berlin's finishing up her kill chain class. She actually added an extra session because it was just so awesome, and she added a bunch of stuff, I think. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I added too much.
That's, you know what? That is an awful problem to have. You've got too much stuff and you had to add an extra session. So that actually ends tomorrow night on the 12th of March. And I'm sad because it's a really great class. We'll be releasing those videos probably the 1st of May, second week of April. Probably we'll do it then. Those will be free to everybody if you want to watch those. So what are we going to hear about tomorrow night on the show, on the class? Just to tease people.
OSINT, and I don't know, I was trying to find my slides.
Well, you did some Bloodhound last week. That was really interesting. I loved watching that. That was really great.
We detected Bloodhound last week, and one second.
I'm sorry, I put you on the spot.
For this short.
While you're looking for your slides, I'll talk to Mr. Betcher, okay? So, Mr. Betcher, LogMD came out, right? New version?
Yeah.
Yeah? 2.0, which is like, the awesomest version because it's a sequel, right?
It is the sequel. So we've added some things, fixed a few bugs. You can now do whois lookups. So if you want to script whois lookups in a spreadsheet, you can do that.
Awesome.
We'll be publishing a video on how to accomplish that. I had a scenario at work one time where I had a bunch of IPs and I had to figure out if these IPs were bad or not. So I was working on the whois stuff for LogMD, and all I did was put the IPs in a spreadsheet and ran it through LogMD. There were about 100 of them, and it just ripped through all the whois and put those fields in subsequent columns.
Nice.
So I got all the whois lookups in a matter of the LogMD ran for about 20 seconds looking up all those whois, but to compile the spreadsheet and run it through, it only took minutes.
Nice. Very nice. Okay.
And then I was able to quickly determine that these were malicious IPs because they were going all over the place. You get the country it's located in and the company that owns it. So pretty cool.
Nice. Okay. And if you're already a member of LogMD, the emails got sent out to update. So if you're uber paranoid, don't click on the link in the email. Just go to LogMD and download the new version and apply your license, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, it automatically went through, and I guess we'll post if Michael hasn't already the hash.
He did those on Twitter a couple hours ago.
So go look on Twitter, and you can verify that it's a good copy that you just downloaded.
There you go. All right, Ms. Berlin, back to you. What's up with the slides? Did you find them?
Yes, I did.
Cool.
Sorry. So we're going to implement LAPS, which is local admin password solution.
Oh, very nice.
And where did the other one go? We're going to enable SMB signing and do local account token filter policies, which it will prevent a non-active login from happening.
Okay.
For like a local admin. So you can't be a local admin on a Windows box and be able to interact with the box remotely, which messes up if you actually have to do like remote admin via that.
Right.
But it's still good to turn on in certain instances, and then a bunch of OSINT stuff.
Very cool. All right. So, Ms. Berlin, if people wanted to find out how you do all this stuff or talk to you about disrupting the kill chains, how would they go about doing so?
On Twitter at InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR, or on our wonderful Slack channel.
Excellent. Mr. Betcher, if people wanted to talk about LogMD with you, how would they go about doing so?
My email address is on log-md.com, and you can hit me up on Twitter on the DM at BetcherPwned.
Excellent. Excellent. So you can follow the show on Twitter at BrakeSec, BrakeSec. You can also follow me, Brian Brake. I'm on Twitter with my first and last name, Brian Brake. You can find me on there. We have a very active Slack channel if you're interested in joining that. We have 1,098 people as of 8:09 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on the 11th of March. You can come in. We got a lot of stuff going on. David Sybuck, one of our moderators, is running a fantastic book club. We talked about that earlier, how to measure anything in cybersecurity risk. I think I said that right. He runs that. We also have a European version, which one of our other users, JB, he does the Euro version on Sunday morning U.S. time, which is like Sunday afternoon, European and UK and EU time. So you can come in and join us for that. We appreciate it. So we have a Patreon if you feel the need to give us a tip or two. That would be great. We have a Patreon. We also will take money over PayPal if you don't like Patreon. And Patreon and the tip jar help us with hosting costs, equipment upgrades, buying tickets for people to give away for contests. So DerbyCon's coming up. We're going to be buying tickets hopefully to be able to give those away for charity. But the patrons of our podcast are much appreciated. So we appreciate them. Thank you. All right. So that was it. I mean, I wanted to talk about my vulnerable VM that I'm trying to get done, but that's probably not very important or interesting. So we will be back next week. So this has been Breaking Down Security Podcast. Please be nice to one another. Have a great week, and we will talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we're clear. Dude, where did all that come from?
I don't know.
That was a really good show. I mean,
like, what are we going to talk about? And then
I don't want to say pulling it out of our ass, but I mean,
I think we did a good job.
Hey, we're just getting better. That's all it is.
Well, I was just thinking about the backup thing, and I'm like, well, I've never actually heard of any organization where like, yeah, we shut off our backups, or we begin containment procedures by cutting off segments of our network. Like, would maybe not even backups, maybe databases? Are they cutting off access to the databases? Or
and that's another thing I was going to mention. I forgot to make that point. Was like, do you have like a private segmentation that you can move a device to that's been ransomwared?
Right.
So it can still access the internet and nothing else.
Nice. Yeah, because you don't want to tip the hand of the bad guys, if depending on what they're using it for, if it's for command and control or what have you. So
right, and like, here, let's just move that port to a different VLAN.
Yeah, the 504 class, they talk about some of that, but it's not a lot of that. But yeah, all right. Well, that was awesome. So glad. Okay. I actually learned a lot about the can I teach myself? I don't know how that works. I learned things.
No, you can think about things.
Yeah, I think about things and made them happen.
I think about new things.